Even a 3-year-old child understands. Military exclusion zones are absolutely forbidden zones. But I just slammed on the gas and crashed in. Little did I know, this was the only way I could access the military leadership. It all started a few days ago. I awakened an altar that forced me to cross into another world. I was in that other world littered with the walking dead. Having endured countless struggles on the edge of life and death, he narrowly escaped from the horde of corpses. But the scary thing is, as long as I fall asleep again, you will be instantly transported back to that blood-soaked hell. As a weak and helpless ordinary person, seek help from the national authorities. It is my only way out. At this moment, I sat down on the cold iron chair in the interrogation room. His eyes were bloodshot. Battalion Commander Zhang Tian, sitting high above, mocked. You actually dare to force your way into the military district. What a lot of courage. Do you know this is a felony? Faced with the questioning, a trace of bitterness appeared at the corner of my mouth. I know it very well. But right now, he could save me. It's just you. If you have trouble, go to the police. Or you can go to the community or the government. What's the point of forcing your way into the military camp by car? I now have good reason. I suspect you're a spy sent from abroad. The officer really isn't like that. I suggest you identify that computer immediately. Once you get identified, you'll know. Also, I really don't have much time left. Stop pretending to be supernatural. Zhang Tian sneered. Prepare to expose my lies and make me confess. Notify the technical department to bring equipment to the interrogation room. The technicians arrived quickly. They picked up the computer and skillfully disassembled it. But the moment you see the internal structure, a cry of surprise erupted instantly. Not right. This is not the mainstream institution on the market at all. Neither Intel, nor is it AMD executives. This is very likely some kind of military-specific model. It is recommended to immediately hire top domestic experts to crack. The technician's words made Zhang Tian's face change dramatically, although he still had doubts inside. But he dared not be careless. He immediately dialed the satellite phone. Contact the Security Bureau. They requested the dispatch of the country's top experts. Only 30 minutes passed. An extended car drove into the base. Zhang Zilong, head of the State Security Bureau. He hurried into the interrogation room with Dr. Yu Jingyang. The first thing Yu Jingyang saw upon entering, his gaze was locked tightly on the computer on the desk. He couldn't help but pick it up, carefully under the light. Masa immediately began further disassembly. When the core structure is exposed before your eyes, Yu Jingyang gasped. This motherboard model does not belong to any company on Earth. The CPU is also not silicon-based. This is carbon-based. Carbon-based. What does this mean? This means this is a technology that completely surpasses Earth. This is a highly stable carbon nanochip. To put it bluntly, this is a product of an alien-level civilization. Zhang Zilong's pupils trembled violently. Zhang Tian's expression grew even darker. This sudden piece of news, this has come into intense conflict with their decades-long understanding. After a long while, Zhang Tianming slammed the table and stood up. He shouted at me. Honestly, where did you get this tablet? I met him, his eyes filled with anger and shock. From another world. You are in a world completely overrun by zombies. The words just fell. I saw Zhang Tian's pupils contract instantly. Nonsense. If you dare to talk nonsense again. Military law waiting. So, can Earth build carbon-based computers now? Do we have this technology? Sir, I really don't have time left. I haven't slept for 3 days and nights. As soon as he fell asleep, he would be forcibly teleported. This time I might never come back. As I spoke, the light in my eyes dimmed. If the military doesn't believe it, the next time I cross over, it's most likely my death date. Zhang Zilong stood beside Zhang Tian, snapping out of the shock. He asked in a deep voice, "What do you mean?" Make the words clear. I pointed to my own head. I mean, as long as I fall asleep, you'll be teleported to that place overrun by zombies. I'm not kidding. This is true. And I'm dead tired right now. Can you give me an adrenaline shot? Zhang Zilong fell into deep thought. Zhang Tian was extremely pleased by the situation. Old Zhang, you don't really believe his nonsense, do you? Zhang Zilong, deep in thought, ignored him. Instead, he turned and picked up the disassembled computer to ask Yu Jingyang, "Are you sure this thing isn't made from Earth?" Yu Jingyang shook his head. There was a hint of fanaticism in his tone. Even if Earth technology is given another 50 years, They couldn't have made something like this. Maybe a few hundred years would still be possible. This is definitely an alien civilization. After listening, Zhang Zilong lowered his head and fell silent for a moment. She then looked up at me. I believe you once, but I hope you live up to my trust. And he was worthy of the country. After handing someone a shot of adrenaline, Zhang Zilong picked up the encrypted phone. Feed. I am the Deputy Director of the National Security Bureau. There is a top-level emergency intelligence report. I need to immediately apply to mobilize chemical defense forces. Hang up. Zhang Zilong stared at me. Now tell us everything you've hidden. Finally, trust was earned. My nerves, which had been tense, finally relaxed. Lay all the information out. 5 days ago, I had a dream. I dreamed that an altar appeared beneath me. A few seconds later, he was transported to a silent world. There were zombies everywhere you could see in movies. I also had a 12-hour countdown on the back of my hand. At first, I thought it was a dream. Quite excited. Ugh, until I accidentally fell. That real pain pierced his mind. Only then did I realize I had truly traveled through time. I was desperately fleeing for my life in that zombie world. He only returned to Earth when the countdown hit 0. But I have a feeling about this. Just fall asleep again. I will travel through time again. Now I haven't slept for 3 days. He was really about to lose his temper. After hearing my statement, the interrogation room fell into dead silence once again. Everyone was digesting this shocking news. In the end, it was Zhang Zilong who broke the silence. He immediately called in 2 chemical defense soldiers to isolate and draw blood for me. At this moment, he suddenly asked, "How did you get here?" I answered honestly. I took the bus to the area. Then I went to the shop across the street, bought a car, and rushed in. As soon as these words came out, Zhang Zilong was so shocked that cold sweat broke out on his forehead. "Hello, do you know? If you carry the nocturnal virus, that bus, an entire city could even be destroyed as a result." Fortunately, the blood test report came out quickly. Shows no virus infection. Only then did Zhang Zilong let out a long sigh of relief. But he remained highly vigilant. After the chemical defense troops arrived, immediately quarantine and control everyone who had contact with me. It didn't take long. The roar of the propellers tears through the sky. Several heavy helicopters landed. Security Bureau Director Song Tianhu attended the scene as the highest commander. After seeing me, Song Tianhu's expression was serious. "Are you sure you can really travel through time?" After receiving a positive response, he patted me on the shoulder. "Can you bring others along?" I recalled the last time. Nodded. "It should be possible. That altar covers a large area. Anyone standing on the altar will be teleported." Afterwards, Song Tianhu inquired in detail about the situation in the other world. I told him that zombies were everywhere there. The entire city fell into a deathly silence. No survivors were seen, and there are only 6 hours left until my next crossing. He immediately dispatched 3 elite special forces: Battle Dragon, Fierce Dragon, and Black Dragon. At the same time, a National Comprehensive Research Group is also assigned. Environmental analysts and medical teams. All personnel wear fully enclosed armor units. Furthermore, the risk of biochemical leaks must never be taken lightly. Immediately under the name of a nationwide nuclear strike exercise, initiate the Level 1 contingency plan. All top-level nuclear defense bunkers nationwide are on standby. Tentatively set for 1 week. Execute immediately. Half an hour later, the whole country was in an uproar. All TV channels were breaking emergency news. Immediately conduct nuclear strike protection exercises. Everyone's phone received a glaring red pop-up alert. Residents are asked to cooperate and not panic. Inside the base, countless armored vehicles roared and ignited. Fighter jets streaked through the sky. One by one, researchers dressed in white lab coats changed into specially made protective clothing, rushing to the southern metropolis base. The Black Dragon, Hunter Dragon, and Battle Dragon squads were also fully armed. They assembled at the military district airfield. Song Tianhu, dressed in military uniform, stood at the front of the group. His gaze swept over everyone. "Comrades, you are about to undertake an extremely dangerous mission. Now, if someone wants to quit, I swear never to pursue it. Willing to carry out the mission, please write a farewell letter on site. The state will pass it on to your loved ones." The entire venue fell into a deathly silence. Only the sound of rapid breathing remained. Although these warriors were battle-hardened, But this kind of task requires writing a will before departure. It's still the first time I've seen you. This means the mortality rate for missions is astonishingly high. A soldier took out paper and pen. Parents. Children are unfilial. Don't feel sorry for me. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. After finishing on that resolute face, large tears rolled down. He solemnly placed the letter into a tin box, followed by the second and third soldiers dropped their wills one after another. 78 minutes later, Monk Song Tianhu handed the iron box to his adjutant. The voice was firm. Comrades, you are all good. You're not going to die. It is the future of the nation. Just a few days ago, a citizen in our country unexpectedly gains the ability to travel through another world. Through. Isn't this just a sci-fi movie plot? My other world has been completely destroyed by zombies. Extremely dangerous. That citizen has already confirmed everything. However, since the virus's transmission mechanism is unknown, specific information about the other world is missing. Your core mission. Assist him in crossing the river again. Collect samples and data. Most importantly, he swore to guarantee his safety at all costs. Do you understand? Got it. How does it feel now? Are you sleepy? Just got an adrenaline pump. Although it's still fine now, but sleepiness could strike back at any moment. Let me sleep and bring over a bed. You sleep here. I feel like I'm about to fall asleep. Just press the bell next to it. Next, Song Tianhu gathered all the captains to plan a battle. Meanwhile, a booklet titled Survival Rules in a Zombie World. The printing factory is going crazy with reprinting. Over 90 million copies were printed overnight, distributed to countless residents. As the drug's effects wore off, the drowsiness accumulated over days washed over me like a tide. I pressed the alarm bell. He fell into a complete deep sleep. At that moment, fully armed soldiers quickly gathered at my bedside. Song Tianhu stood at a distance, staring intently. Is it true or false? It all depends on the present. 1 second, 2 seconds, 5 minutes passed. There was no movement, just when everyone thought it was just a farce. Suddenly, everyone heard a clang. I saw under my bed. Out of nowhere, a blue altar with a diameter of 100 meters appeared. A few seconds later, a pillar of light shot up to the sky. Put me and those more than 20 warriors. All the researchers are enveloped in it. After the beam faded, the original place was completely empty. Both the person and the equipment disappeared. The crowd left behind was utterly shocked. Is it really true? Song Tianhu's eyes widened. A few seconds later, his expression returned to his iron-blooded composure. This matter was immediately classified as top secret. Whoever dares to leak it will be dealt with according to military law. He looked up at the sky, silently thought in his heart. Comrade, safe travels. This time, the country is your support. When I woke up from sleep, he found himself in a silent, ruined city. Here, ruins and broken walls remain. Broken stones lie everywhere. Several dried bodies lay by the roadside. The research team was urgently sampling around the body. The team members who went ahead were already standing guard around with guns. I took a deep breath. It's still the same place as last time. It seems the crossing coordinates are fixed. Zombies that just destroyed the central nervous system died instantly. That's right. The information says you have a countdown. How long will it take this time? I glanced at the back of my hand. 24 hours. Songja nodded. After the research group finished sampling, set out immediately. After 10 minutes, sampling is complete. The scout team members rushed to Songja. Report to the captain. No survivors were found within a kilometer radius. To the west, there was a tide of corpses of 1,000 people. Zombies are scarce at the end of winter. It was proposed to advance eastward. Songja nodded slightly. Please pay attention to all units. Zhanlong as the vanguard. The Hunter Dragon was responsible for covering the rear. The research team is at the center of attention. The Black Dragon was ready to set out due east at any moment. The group rode 2 kilometers east. They reached the outside of campus. Songja gazed at the library on campus. He pondered for a few seconds. Library search time limit is 20 minutes. Everyone quickly sneaked in to investigate. Perhaps due to the long-term closure of the museum, there were no wandering corpses in the hall. Aside from the dust accumulation, it looks quite tidy. I casually opened a journal. The cover features some kind of precision machine. The civilization level of this planet is no less than that of Blue Star. Some areas are even more advanced. Songja agreed. It is. The soldiers quickly gathered several terminals. Researchers set up the intake equipment and began recording and preserving. Various books and materials were scanned and archived, waiting for the task to be basically completed. Songja gave the order through the communication channel. The time has come. Everyone withdrew immediately. Just as the research team was about to withdraw, suddenly, a crisp cracking sound was heard. Strange noises came from outside. Everyone looked up at the sound. A giant billboard stands outside the door. Due to years of neglect, it sways in the wind. Immediately after, the entire iron plate fell off. With a thunderous crash, it crashed hard onto the road. The echo shakes the whole laugh. Zombies lurking in the nearby dormitory buildings sprang into action. He roared to the sky. His face showed a cruel, bloodthirsty expression, rushing toward the library. Songja's gaze suddenly narrowed. Picked up the communicator. The all-staff special operations team was ready to face the enemy. More than 20 people instantly spread out their formation. The dark muzzle of the gun locked the door. I and a research group were protected in the inner circle. The atmosphere did not dare to come out. In just a few breaths, more than a dozen decaying female corpses rushed out of the hallway. He strides with long legs straight toward the library. Their speed was comparable to that of ordinary people. Songja's gaze was sharp. Signal everyone to install silencers. Lock onto the target ahead. Open fire. A few muffled thuds rang out. In an instant, the entire pride of lions fell to the ground. Songja placed a silent drone after the channel drop. Several team members responded to the order. Activate the portable terminal. Release the silent reconnaissance device. The silver wings of the tree trellis quietly rise into the sky. Surveillance footage is transmitted in real time. From a high vantage point, another wave of corpses surged around the library. I couldn't help but feel a surge in my heart. Could it be that this place is all-girls dormitories? Reconnaissance aircraft continued to expand their search. Everyone quickly found out, except for the more than 30 approaching birds. The infected lingering in the distance had already lost their source of the sound, wandering and returning to their original places. Only then did everyone feel a huge sense of relief. Since there are only about 30 left, there is no need to be afraid. Wait for the corpse to rush into the attack range. The bullet pierced through the forehead. He wiped it out in an instant. Confirmed the danger has been resolved. The research team hurriedly collected blood and flesh samples. Not long after, someone discovered that although the brainstem was damaged, this leads to nervous stoppage. However, blood remains highly active. The virus inside survives tenaciously. Once this blood is injected into the human body, in a very short time, the corpse will transform. Except for researchers. Strictly forbidden to touch any corpses. If flesh touches anything, report immediately. Songja listened and immediately issued strict orders. Well, certain that the threat has been eliminated, the team resumed its journey. Drones are on alert in the cloud. Watching the back-to-back overhead shot, Loyu Peak was littered with ruins. Withered corpses were everywhere. Do you think there are still people alive in this world? I lower my voice and ask the captain. Songja stared at the screen in silence for a long time. Maybe there is. Even if there are survivors. Surely very few are there. Night enveloped the land. The convoy camped in a run-down supermarket. I sat on the ground on the mat. Through the broken window, I gazed out at this silent, empty city. So quietly terrifying. Songja stood guard beside him, holding a gun. Then I looked up at the vast sky. Look, the moon overhead. Its size is much larger than Blue Star's. I followed the line of sight. Even the thunderstorm light poison is different from Blue Star. Strange stars twinkle in the night sky. Captain, there seems to be something happening outside. Please come out and take a look. Upon hearing the news, Songja immediately put on his night vision goggles and stared out the window. I also brought my gear to observe the situation. Within his field of vision, he was about 300 to 400 meters away. Several twisted shadows were wandering about. Compared to daytime, the magnet state appeared abnormally excited. Movement speed is also much faster than during the day. The researcher approached with the analysis report. Whispered explanation. 1 is blood oxygen active. We conclude. At night, he was depressed and restless, easily doubling it. The threat factor is soaring. Songja listened and dismissed him. The crew immediately divides its members into 3 teams. Turns to keep watch until the end. The next morning, wait until the Lion Pride activity fades. The troops broke camp and advanced again. Not long after, 于移动民居之内寻见遗具，风干遗骸. There are bullet holes in the skull and posterior wall. Bloodstains appear as jet-like dry nuclei. There was also a side pistol scattered nearby. After the research team confirmed there was no threat, the pistol was sealed and recovered. Then he dug out an old diary. The pages are filled with unfamiliar characters. Researchers carefully store it. The group continued to trek forward. It didn't take long. The troops advanced into a wall. Everyone flipped over the barrier. In an instant, everyone's pupils trembled. Thousands of zombies were densely packed on the plaza ahead. I instinctively held my breath. He turned to look at the captain beside him. Songja's face was also pale at this moment. He raised his telescope to observe closely. He noticed that among the lion pride, there were a few unusual creatures mixed in. Their skin is not pale. Instead, it showed a strange, iron blue color. The subcutaneous muscles are prominently raised. Even in broad daylight, it moves swiftly. Songja put away the observation glass. He made a series of gestures, signaling the whole team to move forward in silence. He sneaked into an open-air parking lot. I glanced at the defense countdown. Songja reminded him. 20 minutes remaining. Songja made a decisive decision, using this place as a base for evacuation. Order the soldiers to set up defenses and stand guard. Soon, the countdown was down to the countdown phase. 4, 3, 2. As time runs to 0, the 100-meter-wide altar shone once again, enveloping everyone. Just before the teleportation began. What's going on? The ground suddenly trembled, all because a sickly giant hand descended from the sky. What the hell is this? It's terrifying. Fuck me. The telecom transmission time limit has passed. A flash of light. Everyone vanished into thin air. The giant hand slammed hard into the parking lot floor, leaving behind a massive pit several tens of meters deep. My vision went dark. When the light returns, he was already at Blue Star's headquarters. He was already terrified. What on earth is that thing? If it had been half a second later, I'm afraid no one will come back alive. The same goes for his comrades. Each one was still shaken with fear. It then enters the isolation chamber for saturation disinfection. Electronic synthetic audio broadcasts do not detect infection sources. The disinfection procedure ends. Take us out of the isolation room. Songju immediately reported the battle situation to Song Tianhu. When they heard about that terrifying beast, Song Tianhu couldn't help but furrow his brows. Yes, have the decoding experts arrived? Upon arrival, he immediately analyzed the books he had brought back. I'll make the arrangements too. Only then did he turn to look at me. If you're sleepy, be sure to tell me. That's all. I'll add an alarm bell for you later. If you're tired, press the button. I will send troops to accompany you to the other world. I agreed. Afterwards, Song Tianhu returned to the command room. Quickly issue the red-headed document. The first phase of exploration has ended. No virus leakage was diagnosed. Immediately lift the nationwide combat readiness drill. Documents are issued along with them. All major media outlets and online platforms have issued comprehensive reports. Nearly 100,000 attendees instantly erupted in cheers. People hugged each other and cried, scared the baby to death. I really thought war was about to break out. If you didn't fight, then just don't fight. If this really started fighting, who knows when it would end. Meanwhile, renowned domestic experts gather to research beauty, fully committed to tackling the other world, bestowing blessings to gather the aspirations of several hundred people. A script system of the ancient Blue Star language has been fully restored. A translation document is presented. It was a lonely land, surrounded on all sides by vast oceans. On the road, there are only stars. The empire dominates the country. Imperial power ruled for nearly 1,000 years. The foundation is deep. The hierarchy is extremely strict. At the same time, it is extremely corrupt. The upper class enjoys ultimate bliss. The lower classes struggled to find enough to eat. If merchants encounter overthrows and clashes, it was common for a family of 3 to starve to death on the streets. The imperial leader, fearing the lower classes, rose up against the banner. Spirit develops a submissive potion. Unexpectedly, they created a neurotype virus. It can cause the infected to lose their mind, neither eating nor drinking, yet obeying orders. A chief scientist of the empire confessed in his notes. We naively think we hold the power to control humanity. But he personally ignited the evil fire that devoured souls. After the emperor learned of the achievements, but he was overjoyed. Loyalty requires no reason. Being brainless is actually better. Obedience is the dove's rationality. He ordered the Pride to be converted into engines, put shackles and special gloves on the prison, forcing the infected to step on the wheel, generating electricity day and night. The Emperor laughed wildly during his inspection. Ha ha ha. Even after death, he can still laugh out loud. Xingxia is the true loyalty. Later, new disabled power plants were built nationwide, binding unconscious infected individuals above the wheel, providing energy day and night. In the end, the devil's claws reached for civilians. Countless civilians were arrested and turned into teachers, filled a roaring factory building. Until the very end, 80% of the country's population has become walking corpses. The Emperor believed he had mastered the eternal energy. Little did they know, it pointed to the hidden nature of hell. When the enhanced zombies began to organize their actions, power plants fell one after another. The army was no match for the tide of corpses. The Emperor used the flesh and blood of the entire civilization. This has given rise to an emerging dominant species. Later, I also saw high-level infected entities. Understand collaboration. Learn to climb, even think. At that moment, I knew. It's over. It's completely over. After reading the translation material, his emotions were hard to calm for a moment. That feeling is hard to describe. It's hard to imagine a vast empire spanning the continent. It collapsed in such an absurd manner. At noon, Yu Jingyang hurried over to find me. This chart highlights a key point. 200 kilometers to the north, a core lithography factory of the empire is located here. It is adjacent to the Huabian energy hub. Based on the food and data they brought back, the carbon-based chip also features high-precision photosynthetic vehicle technology and controlled nuclear fusion capabilities. The technological gap is at least 50 years ahead of us. That factory might be storing the Empire's top technology. If they could steal some core data, Blue Star's technology is about to undergo a leapfrog transformation. So I strongly recommend the next exploration of the advanced north. He sent off Yu Jingyang, whose eyes were full of fanaticism. I stood alone by the window, looking out the window at the peaceful scene. He couldn't help but sigh. It was truly a huge irony. A high-level civilization that touches the stars. Why bother with obedience potions? He insists on studying biochemical viruses. It didn't take long. On the other end, Song Tianhu sent an urgent message. The manual for the next time travel was finalized. The location shifted to the desolate Lop Nur. The connecting special flight is already on the arriving route. I boarded quickly, flying all the way to Lop Nur, the northwest lake. Just stepping out of the cabin, a wave of heat mixed with coarse yellow sand hit the face. A young woman with a sharp and capable temperament walked toward her. Hello, I'm Qin Sinyu. From now on, he will be your personal psychologist. I couldn't help but look at Songjia, who had been waiting for a long time. A smile played at the corner of Songjia's mouth. You are now a national treasure-level key target. The higher-ups are worried you'll be upset over there. What psychological scars are left behind? This woman is a national special psychological expert. I shook my head speechlessly. Follow the guidance to enter the temporary base. 15 heavy vehicles were lined up before their eyes. Qin Sinyu beside him explained the facts. This time, the higher-ups went all out, equipped with an all-terrain, all-purpose off-road combat vehicle. The special operations staff was also expanded to 40 personnel. This shows how much the country values your safety. About that sky-covering beast last time. After the leadership exercised, it is believed that the noise during teleportation was too loud to attract them. So next time, I'll start teleportation. Try to choose locations in open and wild areas. Deploy drone swarms in advance. Hidden dangers can be minimized. Even in danger, they can evacuate quickly. Reach out to touch the armor of the hull. The touch is extremely heavy, more solid than any armored vehicle I know. All the windows are made of special bulletproof glass. Even ordinary bullets can leave scratches. Time quietly passed into the deep night. As the special forces assembled, a heavy wave of drowsiness washed over me like a tide. After I drifted off to sleep, the memories glowing with a faint blue glow tilted again. Everything within the designated area is completely enveloped. A pillar of light soared up to the sky. When I wake up again with a handful of hands, the insider is already inside the bumpy carriage of another world. Song Zhizheng in the driver's seat. Combat orders were issued in an orderly manner according to the platoon. The Dragon Hunting Squad serves as the vanguard. The Black Dragon Squad was responsible for covering the rear. The research group is in the center. The Battle Dragon squad guarded both flanks. Confirm that everyone receives the command. Marching targets. 200 kilometers to the north. The transverse continues to change. The central armored convoy sprang into motion. The engine ran toward our corpses. He directly smashed several zombies, blocking his way to pieces. The roof mechanical compartment was blasted open. Amid the buzzing sound, reconnaissance drones soared into the air. Build a comprehensive reconnaissance network at high altitude. Real-time feedback on surrounding terrain. Once everything was arranged, Songja withdrew his gaze from the surveillance camera. He turned to look at the passenger seat. Woke up. This time, the countdown shows how long it will take. I glanced over the back of my hand. 3 days. Songja frowned slightly upon hearing this. This time, the stay was surprisingly long. I smiled. After several rounds of round trips, a vague premonition welled up in his heart. Go through this baptism a few more times. I might not need sleep. He could then actively activate teleportation. A flash of gold appeared in Song Zwenyan's eyes. This statement should be true. If you really can control the timing of the activation, we are no longer passive. Or whatever you want. I winked playfully. He didn't say anything final. Just as he was chatting casually with Songja, an anomaly occurred in the southwest direction of the lookout entry channel responsible for vigilance. Songja and I both turned to look at him. He saw a kilometer away among the ruins. A giant zombie, as massive as a mountain, was slowly moving. By appearance, the height is estimated to be at least 200 meters. Behind that massive body, they were also trailing a group of monsters they had never seen before. The skin appears bluish-purple. The muscular ball not is unusually well developed. I gasped. A chilling thought popped into his mind. This is a giant master as towering as a mountain. Could it be the owner of the giant hand that covered the sky last time? I turned to look at Songja. He was clearly stunned by the sight as well. He exchanged a glance with me. Both saw through each other's suspicions. Immediately, Songja directed the convoy to put some distance between them. Avoid any possible contact. Receive instructions. The entire convoy immediately deviated from the planned route. A big detour. Circle around at full speed. Until the giant zombie's figure disappeared into the horizon. Songja grabbed the radio again. Everyone must not take this lightly. The mutations of this virus far exceed what is recorded in the records. Ahead lies dangers unknown to us. Everyone must stay alert. Respond cautiously. Hang up the communication. Songja gazed at this lifeless, steel jungle. Have you ever felt that? Behind this apocalyptic crisis, it's not simply a loss of control. Like that giant elephant just now. I was skeptical. This was a biological weapon deliberately created by the Star Empire. But in the end, the knife was cut at themselves. Listening to Songja's reasoning, I fell into a long silence. The sky gradually darkened. In the desolate darkness in the distance, scattered points of light flickered faintly. The voice of the team member came through the radio again. Report to the captain. At 12 o'clock ahead, there seemed to be signs of human activity. Whether to go investigate. What if it's a survivor settlement? Perhaps it will provide more intelligence about the world. Songja pondered for several seconds. He decisively rejected the proposal. Continue the march. Don't stir up unnecessary complications. The primary goal is for Crossflow to become the center. As the convoy rolled forward, 2 hours later, the Crossflow Fusion Energy Center has finally arrived. The convoy slowly slowed down and stopped. The rooftop drone took off again, dived deep into the center. Soon, the devastation inside the fusion center was revealed. These are all displayed on the terminal monitor. The massive energy stack has long since collapsed. Countless tall buildings lie across the ground. Dense white bones were everywhere. There were also many heavily damaged heavy weapons. Silently speaking, fierce battles once took place here. After the drone reconnaissance was complete, build a defensive formation. If there are any changes in the alert team or the station convoy, they must report immediately. Follow me in. As the order was given, the group advanced along the dust-covered main passage. The low growls of zombies echoed in his ears from time to time. As the team advanced, several lurking zombies sensed the presence of a stranger, roaring as he lunged at the crowd. The soldiers reacted swiftly, raised the spear to transform. The muzzle equipped with a silencer spits flames. A faint popping sound was made. Several zombies' heads instantly split open and collapsed to the ground. Songja used the modeled signboard on the wall. They found a main control room at the Crossflow Center. After purging the remaining enemies from within, Songja led the research team inside, browsed through the remaining materials. We learned that this place was built over 200 years ago. At that time, the Star Empire gave birth to a figure hailed as the father of turmoil. Peerless genius. Single-handedly conquering the top 10 barriers to nuclear fusion. This has led to rapid advances in Imperial fusion technology. This power plant is an immortal miracle of the Empire. Afterwards, everyone shifted to the energy core area. After reaching the core, the researchers quickly removed the sampling device. One middle-aged expert had a gleaming eye. The alloy formula and heat-resistant process here, far surpassing Blue Star's current level. You must bring the samples back. After reverse engineering reaches the core, the researchers quickly removed the sampling device. One middle-aged expert had a gleaming eye. The molecular stacking of these materials is stable. It has naturally high radiation resistance. Check this out. They actually applied a certain room temperature superconducting crystal. Just bring these samples back to China. China's nuclear energy industry is bound to take off. Fully entering the era of commercial exchange conversion is not just empty talk. Listen to this statement. The entire research team was all about appearances. Start cutting for me. Not. Just as the sealing operation was about to be completed, Song's earpiece echoed with the urgent shouts of the team members stationed behind. Alert! Red alert! Found in the southeast. 2 Titan Lions are closing in at a speed of 6 kilometers per hour. It is now only 1 kilometer from Shimenfang. Contact is expected in 10 minutes. Song's face suddenly darkened. Immediately lay anti-tank high explosive charges. Always ready to answer. The entire research team immediately withdrew. Return along the original path and use the command to return. Everyone quickly prepared the vehicles. In just half a minute, everyone was bursting with energy. Truly generous. The closer you get to the exit, the tremors beneath his feet grew even more intense. Another 10 seconds passed. A loud bang rang out from the direction of the station convoy. My heart tightened instantly. Anti-tank mines explode. That meant the giant monster was closing in. Everyone's resistance came again. I pulled the car door. E collapsed and sat down. Songja beside him slammed on the gas. The engine emits a dot reaction. The Hokage head looked toward the direction where the explosion had occurred. Only 300 to 400 meters away. 2 gigantic beings roared as they charged out of the sea of fire. Bullet cartridges were stuck in his body. They ran wildly toward the convoy. Seeing this, Fengxia immediately ordered the convoy to pursue them, though the corpse was as large as a mountain. But the scolding didn't last just a few breaths. The distance between cars was reduced by 500 to 600 meters. Songja stared intently at the footage on the surveillance screen. He pondered for a few seconds. The convoy slowed down, maintained the same speed as the target. These are the stats for all of Boulder's skills. The research team kept records. The convoy immediately launched an attack. A Special Forces soldier crawled onto the roof, set up the anti-material sniper rifle. The aiming star locks the giant corpse. A muffled sound was heard. The bullet burst through the barrel. A massive warhead attack. A small dent was blasted into the boulder's forehead. However, facing the incredibly powerful sniper bullets, the corpse police swayed slightly. He let out a furious roar, enraged. Stride even harder, approaching the forehead at a faster pace. The craters were visible to the naked eye. I stared at the scene in shock, speechless. The sound of the research team standing came through the radio. This is explosive cell repair. It is definitely not a natural variant. This is definitely a bioweapon designed for me. Equipped with high explosive armor-piercing rounds. The roof crew member immediately reloads the reload upon hearing the order. Immediately after, everyone sprang up. A dazzling burst of fire burst from the giant rock's forehead. Its massive body seemed to have suffered heavy wounds. His steps were unsteady. He crashed to the ground with a thunderous crash. But the next second, he got up again. The epidermal tissue in the forehead was blown away. It actually revealed the metallic sheen beneath the skin. The researchers cried out in shock upon seeing this. Yes, it was a biometallized tissue virus. The cell wall structure is directly rewritten. It's simply unheard of. Song Chung heard that mortars could be fired. He directly ordered the replacement of mortars. The roof team quickly set up artillery fire, aimed at the boulder, firing several shots in succession. After several loud booms, the master was knocked to the ground once again. In an instant, he stubbornly got up again, continuing toward the roof. Only some areas of the body show a metallic sheen. The research team quickly gave an assessment. Routine clearing is ineffective. High physical strength. It is recommended to try fire attacks. Songja immediately gave another order. Prepare a cloud bomb. All vehicles maintain a safe distance. In a moment, a small mushroom cloud rose over the wasteland. Temperatures of thousands of degrees instantly burst forth. The convoy felt a scorching wave of heat surge through everyone. Wait until the flames fade away. The surface of the giant stone had been carbonized at high temperatures, yet he was still alive. He staggered to his feet, lying on the ground. It began to wander like a headless fly. The research team announced via the channel. High temperatures destroy the target's olfactory system. Based on its regeneration rate, it is estimated recovery will take 2 days. That is, high-temperature flames can effectively suppress the flames. This lowers the risk of the lower level. Songja heard this. Deploying drones. White phosphorus bombs and thermite are used. Several drones lifted off from under the vehicle. The angled flick lunged straight at the remaining intact giant lion. Poof! White phosphorus and thermite exploded in midair. Flames spread around the boulder. The monster let out a piercing, agonized wail. Soon, all senses faded. Running wild in the wilderness. The testing task was successfully completed. The team accelerated away from the target. The Starlight car center sped at lightning speed. Arrive at the target area in 1 hour. Pry open the severely deformed alloy gate. All that could be seen was a mess. Everywhere there were scars left by fierce battles. Songja picked up a broken round crystal. Submit to the research staff at your side. The researcher held it in his hands and examined it for a moment. This is the precision structure of carbon tubes. Infer from this. They have achieved stable mass production at the nanometer level. He saw another piece of equipment in the corner. At this moment, someone stepped forward to investigate. This is an intelligent quantum calibration system. Their machine tools require no manual intervention. The equipment itself can correct errors. The group continued to explore deeply. Rows of lithography machines full of sci-fi texture. Right in front of them, the research team took out the detector. Start reviewing the startup. The system has been compromised, but the underlying control logic remains intact. The core is the oscillation interference array and is preserved intact. Just bring back a few samples. The national chip industry is about to experience a breakthrough. A hint of joy flashed in Songja's eyes. Just at this moment, a call from the alert group came over the radio. The captain spotted the survivor approaching the target. The three appeared to be unarmed. Everyone was shaken by his words. The survivors actually had living people. Songja was also startled. He quickly arranged for the Black Dragon squad to escort the research team to negotiate. At the same time, he pulled out the terminal screen. Access real-time monitoring footage from portable drones. I only saw it on the screen. The Black Dragon squad and the researchers faced off from more than 10 meters away. One of the surviving men squatted on the ground and wrote gold. The translation roughly meant weather gold could be exchanged for water and food. The Black Dragon squad did not accept any gold. He just threw some water supplies over directly. Then, the Black Dragon squad began to question them, learned that the corpse was not the strongest existence. There's an even more terrifying kind, but they had never seen it in person. These people came from a small shelter. The scale was only 30 to 50 people. As for the cause of the zombie outbreak, he had no idea. Afterwards, the Black Dragon squad let the group leave. Once we gather, move to the materials mining area of a lithography factory. That is the superconducting probe, an extremely scarce strategic resource. The research team collected some samples. He planned to go back and try artificial synthesis. Once everything settled, we returned to the convoy to board and rest. I leaned back in my chair. A strong sense of exhaustion swept through his entire body. He fell asleep. When I opened my eyes again, there were only a dozen minutes left in the defense countdown. The surrounding convoys were already fully prepared. Songja patted my shoulder and smiled. Don't sleep. Are you about to head back? I nodded a bit shyly. Wait until time has completely reset to 0. That familiar altar appeared once again, enveloping the entire convoy. Darkness fell before my eyes once again. When the light was restored, he was inside the underground isolation chamber of Lopner. An electronic broadcast came from above, confirmed the return of the entire team to the field. Everyone is requested to prepare to start the saturation disinfection procedure. The pungent white mist instantly engulfed the convoy, waiting until the mist clears. Songja and I left the research group one after another. Quickly report the substantial gains to the leadership. All collected data samples are raised as energy source crystals. We did it. Songja reported the entire operation process to the chief. When Song Tianhu finished hearing the details, he immediately made a decision. Next time I cross roads, I won't drive an off-road vehicle. Directly deploy the support tank. Fire with full force. The latest model of armor-piercing rounds is issued. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone in the conference room was shocked. The main battle tank is the ace of the current land combat in the lower country. When paired with armor-piercing rounds, the power is astonishing. Far superior to mortars, it is far superior to others. But that's not all. Song Tianhu then asked us to bring a single soldier. The king of infantry, the nuclear warhead rocket launcher. The explosive power is equivalent to 40 tons of TNT equivalent. Everyone heard the news. He was so shocked his jaw nearly dropped to the floor. To ensure my protection is complete, they even brought out such a powerful weapon. After leaving the conference room, Qin Xinyu had a one-on-one interview with me. He gave me about half an hour of psychological counseling. And for the first time ever, they managed to secure me half a day off. Suggest accompanying me out for a walk. Then, accompanied by Qin Xinyu and 2 Black Dragon team members, we flew to the nearest bustling metropolis. However, only a few hours after landing, the road to the enemy is narrow. I actually ran into my ex-girlfriend. At that moment, she was nestled in the arms of a man dressed in a suit. The man's name was Su Ming, a haute couture suit. Su Ming Soin Sing Yubi Saivme. His eyes immediately lit up with golden light. I was about to turn and leave, but Su Ming stepped forward to block his way. He walked straight up to Qin Xinyu. He shamelessly sized up her face. His eyes were filled with amazement and greed. Let's make a price. 100,000. 300,000. Still 500,000. Speak as you say. I can satisfy myself. A beauty as stunning as you is truly rare. The words did not fall. I glanced coldly at my ex-girlfriend. He smiled awkwardly. But the hand holding Su Ming's arm did not loosen at all. Is this the magic of money? If that's too little, then 1 million yuan. Seeing that Qin Xinyu had no reaction at all, Su Ning was a bit embarrassed and angry. They directly doubled the price. In his eyes, there's no leg in this world that money can't break through. But he quickly froze in place, because Qin Xinyu in front of her completely ignored the 1 million. Instead, she affectionately linked arms with mine. He teased as if no one else was around. This is your ex. Is your taste not that great? After saying that, he ignored the grim expressions of the 2 men. Qin Xinyu grabbed me and strode away. In the evening, Qin Xinyu is chatting idly with me about the past. A member of the Black Dragon team quietly approached. Report in a low voice. Someone wants to harm you. Local national security authorities have been contacted. Safety. Please rest assured. I nodded calmly. He continued chatting and laughing with Qin Xinyu. Only 10 minutes passed. Security Bureau agents launched a thunderous attack. In just a few moves, several suspects were pinned to the ground and rubbed against each other. Learned after a surprise interrogation. These people were thugs sent by Su Ming. All because I helped him save face on the street. So I wanted to show him a lesson. Upon learning of this, Song Tianhu was furious. He immediately ordered a thorough investigation into Su Ming and his father's background, along with the umbrella of evil behind it. One counts as one. All were uprooted and sent to prison. I pretty much relaxed myself, too. The clock pointed to 5 or 6 in the afternoon. The group then set out for Lopner. After meeting up with Songja, he prepares to go. 10 o'clock at night. Looking at the steel rush lined up in the base square. 10 of the latest main battle tanks. And 10 heavy infantry fighting vehicles. My heart still couldn't stop pounding. Songja beside him introduced the facts. Whether armored or tanks, all have undergone special modifications. Equipped with the most advanced active defense system. Soon after, drowsiness hit. The teleportation aura arrived as scheduled. The armored cluster roared as it charged into the halo. When I opened my eyes, the only one sitting firmly inside the tank's command cabin. He glanced at the defense countdown. Pick up the car communicator. The stay was limited to 3 days. Upon hearing this, Songja felt he had plenty of free time. The whole army attacked. He wanted to get those big guys to practice with. Songja gave the order. Radar activates beyond visual range scanning. The convoy advanced shortly after. He locked onto a wandering Titan behemoth. Drones soaring for reconnaissance. Real-time images are projected onto the car's large screen. The corpse slowly moved amidst the tide of corpses. Some areas of the body surface were char-black. Clearly, it was the same as last time. On the other side, the researchers were shocked to see this. Sure enough, this terrifying cellular activity. He basically recovered in just a few days. Songja cold storage ordered. Car number 1 locked onto the target. The main gun fired. It was a loud bang. The tank's main gun spewed a tongue of fire. The giant monster's head in the Pride was instantly pierced through. His entire head was blown to pieces. Its massive body staggered and fell to the ground. There was no movement at all. Seeing this, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Cheers erupted from the communication channel. If even heavy tank guns couldn't destroy it, then the subsequent battle plan would have to be completely overturned. The research team was even more excited. Proposed to clear out surrounding lion herds. They urgently needed to dissect the giant corpse sample. Songzhu approved the request. Order the infantry fighting vehicles to advance on both flanks. The rocket nest and machine gun firepower are at full speed. 顷刻间，边疆周边小怪清扫一空. Songzhu ordered the drone to re-examine the remaining hazards. After confirming the area's safety, the research team, under the cover of the Black Dragon Squad, approached the Master. This can be seen through drone footage sent back. Researchers wearing gloves tapped the surface of the boulder. It even produced the sound of metal clashing together. The scan results show bone density surpasses conventional alloys. Its defense is comparable to 300 millimeters homogeneous armor. Cutting and slicing must be brought back to the high-frequency laser. Not long after the cutting machine started, a 30 centimeters square shell. The bloodstains were sealed inside the incubator. Sampling complete. Everyone quickly withdrew into the armored vehicle. 然而，行进未久. The radar then detected a wave of life signals, confirmed by drones as survivors from the previous group. The tank formation immediately turned and drove away. After the meeting, the man who had traded with us walked out of the queue, recognized by translation software. This person's name is Duke. He raised both hands to indicate no harm, waiting for survivors to disarm. After a search by the Black Dragon Squad, they confirmed there was no threat. Only then did I emerge from the command vehicle. The Zhanlong team members never left their side. Duke's gaze instinctively fell on me. He immediately stepped forward a few paces. He clasped his fists with both hands in salute. Thank you. The supplies last time really saved our lives. After hearing this, the translator responded. As easy as lifting a finger. A little knowledge of water is not worth mentioning. By the way, where are you from? Duke admitted he came from a small shelter in the west. This trip was to search for supplies. The reason they got close to this side, it was drawn by the previous violent explosion. He then curiously asked about our background. He bluntly said he had never seen such a powerful force 5 times stronger. I replied with a smile. We come from a distant place. This trip was solely for the purpose of surveying the situation. Duke looked enviously at the steel behind me. His eyes were full of sparks, but your weapons looked domineering. Stronger than any nuclear equipment I've ever seen. I smiled calmly. All of this is our country's self-developed equipment. There was something even fiercer than this. Duke was shocked upon hearing this. There are even stronger ones. There was a moment of silence. No one knows if there is any extra food. The base is nearly out of food. There's also some gold here. Willing to exchange it for gold. I waved my hand, signaling the free order. He immediately summoned a warrior. A batch of water and compressed dry rations was distributed to them. Duke trembled as he took the supplies. Great kindness does not say thank you. Then the tank cluster roared as it advanced toward the next station. Target, Southwest Mining Area. After 7 or 8 hours of trekking, the convoy arrived at the location of the mineral vein. The Black Dragon Squad set up defenses and stood alert. The Dragon Hunter and Dragon Warrior teams are responsible for mining and searching. The research group recorded data simultaneously. Soon, 2 tons of various ores were stored in the warehouse. Among them are zero-carbon and ultra-gold mines, as well as various rare associated minerals. Songzhu suddenly exploded in anger. There is enemy activity at 200 meters of gold coins. I followed the reputation. A zombie was crawling out from a crack in the rocks. The next second, it was mercilessly run over by the tracks. Instantly turned into a minced pulp. With only 1 hour left on the countdown, the collection mission was successfully completed. Everyone sat on the armored vehicle rooftop, chatting and resting. This trip yielded quite a few results. Not only did he kill the Titan troll, biological samples were obtained, and they managed to acquire so many rare minerals. With these materials, national science and technology are bound to take off again. Everyone's face was beaming with a triumphant smile. I laughed along with them. Soon, the countdown hit 0. The teleportation altar appeared out of thin air once again. But this time, a vague feeling arose in his heart. My thoughts stirred slightly. Try to expand the aperture edge closer, truly stretching outward at will. Try to make it contract again. The expanded aperture instantly retracted and restored. My heart suddenly jumped wildly. Try controlling it again. This portal actually went out with me. I control it to turn it off. Then he opened the altar again. It actually turned back on after closing. His comrades witnessed the altar opening and closing freely. They were all stunned as wooden chickens. In the end, it was Songzhu who asked in a trembling voice, "You can now fully control this altar." I couldn't hide my excitement. Songzhu was instantly overjoyed upon hearing this. No longer random forced teleportation. Instead, It is a stable and controllable cross-boundary channel. This is an epic strategic breakthrough. This means that future layout will undergo earth-shaking changes. National development will enter the fast lane, entering a brand new era. After the euphoria, everyone drives the tank and armored vehicle into the light. His vision fell into darkness once again. When the light is seen again, he has safely returned to the Lop Nur base. After undergoing a rigorous saturation disinfection process, Songju immediately reported this major development to his superiors. The national leadership responded swiftly. The highest order was immediately issued, centered on Lop Nur as the core hub, officially established the Otherworldly Outpost Development Bureau. A week later, thousands of top researchers have moved in. Military infrastructure breaches 100 li of ground. Dozens of modern buildings rose from the ground. Both heavy combined brigades were fully deployed to fight. My control over the altar has become increasingly refined. By regulating the threshold for energy flow, I set up 3 modes of passage: absolute blockade, unidirectional transmission, and two-way interconnection. Wednesday hour, I received the highest national directive. Go to the central plaza to open the teleport passage. As soon as you step into the square, you're stunned by the scene before your eyes. All you see is the vast sea of people, amazed by the emerald green. Various missile vehicles, main battle tanks, and heavy armored vehicles were arranged in 7 or 8 steel dragons. Even within the formation, something stood tall. Looking at the strategic missile launcher vehicle, which is over 10 meters wide and over 20 meters long. After a brief shock, I understand the country is going to get serious. Officially launched a large-scale invasion of the otherworld. Otherwise, they would never have sent 2 heavy combined brigades at once. I held my breath and focused my mind. He fully activated the altar. In an instant, a giant light gate with a kilometer span rose in the center of the square. The torrent of steel roared deafeningly. They drove into the light screen in an orderly fashion, continuously heading to a stretch. A week later, I stand on the observation deck of the Otherworldly Command Center, overlooking the outpost in front of us. These 2 heavy brigades were in excellent locations, camped in the outskirts of the city around the mining area, backed by mineral veins, making mining convenient. It is also close to the city, easy to scrape resources. But that's not the key. The focus is on infrastructure. The demonic military-industrial forces are facing disaster. They launched a frenzied construction campaign at the base. In just 5 days, a satellite launch tower was erected and unleashed swarm drones. Implement full domain monitoring of this plane. The aura of a living person from the Su family was overwhelmingly strong. It triggered the corpses among the city's ruins. They gathered into a corpse horde of 7 or 8,000. They surged toward the suburban base. The base radar immediately locked onto the movement of the zombie horde. A piercing alarm suddenly sounded. Wang Zhan, commander-in-chief of the Otherworld War Zone, immediately dispatched the 1st Heavy Armored Combined Brigade. Build a line of defense. In order to ensure absolute safety, some long-range rocket launchers and tank clusters have been locked on. When the Lion Pride enters the optimal lethal radius, at the command, 1,000 cannons roared. Implement saturated fire coverage. High-definition footage transmitted back by drone. They saw more than a dozen long-range rocket launchers deploying their armor. Countless rockets soared into the air, trailing their tails, pouring down toward the corpse tied 10 kilometers away. Immediately after, dozens of small mushrooms rose up from the center of the Pride. Endless zombies were reduced to ashes in the explosive flames. Within minutes, the artillery fire was bloody. Life response in the target area reaches 0. The corpse horde was identified as the Scepter. Is this the pressure of a major nation's heavy equipment? It was so terrifying. She didn't even get a chance for Zhao Meng before being wiped out. It inevitably makes one question the logic behind those apocalypse movies. With such firepower, how exactly was the country destroyed? It is truly unbelievable. In the following half-month, the construction of the station military-industrial units remains active. Multiple radar arrays, electromagnetic railguns, defense towers, AI automatic patrol, and patrol guns. Facilities such as the fully automated military factory and the Field Thunder Hospital. Like mushrooms after rain, they have sprung up on the ground. Less than a month's length, a super base has already appeared in the suburban wilderness. Every morning, dozens of heavy trucks roar toward the mining area. At night, he returned fully loaded. Strategies and minerals, such as zero-carbon supercrystals, are continuously injected through the portal. Meanwhile, inside the Huaxia Supreme Academy of Sciences, Bai Wu looked at the test report in his hand. Gritting his teeth, he failed again. Eagle's blockade on lithography machine materials is simply insane. Trying to catch up with the current bottleneck in material science. Eagle Sauce has no chance at least 50 years. The generational gap is just too large. Just as the two were racking their brains for a breakthrough plan, the office door was suddenly slammed open. A researcher excitedly barged in. Report to the director. The newly arrived special materials are named Zero Carbon Ore and Super Gold Ore. It is said that it can be directly applied to the city of lithography. Bai Wu was taken aback by his words. He thought he was hallucinating. What an international joke. How could natural materials be directly taken on a CD? It's just a fool's dream. He simply did not believe such gods existed in this world. However, when he witnessed that spirit charcoal bubble, under natural light, it glows with a faint blue glow. Inside, it seemed like flowing crystals of light were slowly flowing. Her pupils contracted violently. Pick up the ore and examine it closely under the spotlight. The more he looked, the more his facial muscles trembled. After a long time, he suddenly looked up at the end. Where did this thing come from? Top secret, haha. With Lousy's authority, there are also secret manuals you can't see. Could it be an alien that fell from the sky? Fine, who cares what kind of background he comes from? Since it can conduct electricity and resonate with electricity, I'll make him the brain behind the lithography machine. Yenba grabbed the ore in one swift motion, striding toward the core testing area. Meanwhile, somewhere in another world, inside a small survivor settlement. Chieftain, I ran into that group again. They truly stand out. In the apocalypse, we all know the human heart and the ghost domain, let alone lend a helping hand. It does not fall into the well, even if he were a great philanthropist. But that group actually provided 2 free relief efforts. He refused to accept any gold offered. This is a living saint. He glanced at Duke with disdain. Oof. There are no sages left in this world. Those people must have big ambitions. It's just that we haven't seen through it yet. Leader, that's something you haven't seen with your own eyes. You don't feel their pure aura. If they are truly villains, I would rather this world be destroyed immediately. As the half-moon set, a shocking earthquake came from outside the cover. Rumble, the entire bunker trembled in the trees. Countless dust fragments stumbled from the flat formation guards toward the leader. Leader, it looks like there's a fight outside. Guan looked up at this place. His expression changed drastically. Listen to the movement. Is it a heavy artillery group or a large caliber heavy gun? This density would be at least half a group Army's Corps fire at all. His subordinates shook their heads repeatedly. Impossible, absolutely impossible. It has been 50 years since the Empire fell. Even if there are remnants, there's no way they have that kind of firepower. This must be divine punishment. Not a moment of silence was heard. A solitary guest. Take people to investigate the situation. Duke led the troops. Following the sound of cannon fire, he squeezed in. The shock in his eyes grew even stronger. Endless steel froze on the horizon. They gathered into those arrogant zombies who landed on the distant zombie horde. Under the fire clouds, it was reduced to ashes like a chicken or a dog. Even the terrifying Titan Master, under intense artillery fire, it instantly turned into a pile of minced meat. Duke and the others were about to pop their eyes out. Where did these heavenly soldiers and generals come from? It's too brutal. Killing zombies is like playing a game. Duke snapped back to reality. Let's go quickly back and report to the leader. Behind the wolf, the armored vehicles turned into Black 7, rushing forward, instantly cutting off their retreat. Fully armed soldiers crossed the river like iron. Countless red lasers. The aiming point was locked onto vital points all around them. A man who looked like an officer strode forward. The translator emitted a cold, standard mechanical voice. Hello. Our leaders also invite everyone to have a cup of tea. Afterwards, Duke and his group were quietly led away by the crowd. As soon as he stepped into the camp, the group was instantly soaked by the scene before them. Entire groups of main battle tanks and infantry fighting vehicles were as silent as steel beasts. Hundreds of rocket launcher vehicles lined up in a formidable formation. The air was thick with the smoke that made them shudder. The soldiers' powerful footsteps echoed in their ears. Duke's eyes gradually grew moist. That was a long-lost sense of security. It is an oppression stemming from a powerful civilization and order. When he entered the temporary command post, when I saw myself sitting across from the leader, sipping tea, the whole person froze in place. It really is you. I thought that last squad was your entire combat strength. I never expected you to have such a mighty lion sitting on you. Speaking of the end, the shock in his eyes was beyond words. He couldn't believe it. Walking all the way to death. Those unequipped helicopters. All kinds of unheard of high-tech equipment. All of them belonged to the power before him. Such terrifying royal might. Even during the Imperial decisive battle back then, it was nothing special. I smiled and nodded to him. He then stepped aside to introduce Wang Zhan to him. This is our war zone commander, General Wang Zhan. Longing for this middle-aged general who commands respect without anger. He was instantly at a loss. A stammering greeting. Why hello. Wang Zhan looked at the anxious youth from another world before him. He showed a kind smile. Take it easy. Please have a seat. I have some matters I'd like to ask you about. Duke felt even more uneasy upon hearing this. Big man, I'm not tired. Just stand still. Are you kidding? In front of such a fierce commander. It made him extremely afraid. If it were an empire, unfortunately, civilians like him don't even qualify to raise corpses. Seeing this, Wang Zhan did not insist. He got straight to the point. What's the current situation at your survivor base? What is the population? How is the survival situation? Duke's expression darkened upon hearing this. There were about 3,000 survivors left at the base, but the stored grain was already nearly depleted. Many people were forced to switch to a meal every 2 days. As far as I know, other camps have already experienced tragedies of children being eaten by swapping their children. After hearing this, Wang Zhan pondered for a moment. I am currently short of a batch of labor. Material management is safe enough. Absolute guarantee. 8 hours of work, 5 days off, and 2 days of interest. About equivalent to a week's worth of food. Duke Youth was stunned on the spot. It was as if he had heard a fairy tale. He asked in a trembling voice, afraid it was all just a dream. Seriously, Wang Zhan smiled. There was no joke in the army. Naturally, it should be true. I even prepared some spiritual nourishment for you. The Salt King stood up. He led the group to a warehouse. The lights suddenly brightened. A mountain of various daily necessities came into view. Television, air conditioner. There were even game consoles. Duke was stunned. He then slapped himself hard across the face. The intense pain told him. This moment was by no means a dream. These are also for us. Wang Zhan nodded slightly. That's right, they're all distributed to you. Duke couldn't hold back any longer at these words. Huge tears rolled down in streams. After a long while, he suddenly looked up. A long-lost flame of hope ignited in his eyes. I'll report back to the leader right away. Meanwhile, inside the survivor's base, Guwen paced anxiously at his desk. They hadn't met the sound yet. The subordinate lowered his head to report. The report leader has yet to be found. Guwen's face was so dark it looked like water was about to drip. In this apocalypse, missing contact often means death. This is the naked law of survival. Zhongling. Zhongling, something's wrong. My eldest child is about to die. Please go take a look. A panicked woman burst in. His face was full of despair. Guwen hurried with the group to a simple isolation room. Just as he pushed open the door, a damp, stifling, and putrid stench hit him. On the floor lay a mat of grass, a girl in her teens. Her calves were wrapped in coarse cloth. Dark brown blood had already seeped out, smelling the nauseating smell of rotting flesh in the air. Just one glance from Guwen made it clear there was no way to turn things around. This is a deep infection. In this apocalypse where medicine is scarce and medicine is scarce. This is the death sentence with reprieve. Guwen could only silently shake his head at that mother. Spend your life and leave it to fate. The mother did not become hysterical upon hearing this. He simply walked forward in a daze. He stroked his daughter's burning cheeks, tears bursting like a dam. Guwen felt a pang in his heart. He took out his own rations from his pocket and placed them on the ground. He silently turned and left, climbed to the commanding heights of the base. He stared absent-mindedly at this shelter on the verge of collapse. There's a shortage of doctors and medicines. Water and food are cut off. Outside, a tide of corpses lurked around. Seeing that he was at the end of his rope, just as he hesitated about whether to disband on the spot, hurried footsteps sounded behind him. He turned his head to look. It turned out to be Duke, who had been missing for a long time. Just as he was about to ask, Duke shouted with a face full of ecstasy. The leader is saved. We are really saved. Guwen was full of doubts. What is saved? Duke danced excitedly. Yes. Those mysterious people once gave me the same group of people who gave me Shui free of charge. This time, the main force was pressing in. At least tens of thousands of people. The artillery fire outside, just now, was their doing. The firepower was simply outrageous. Thousands of tanks and armored vehicles. and they are well supplied with resources. They want to recruit laborers in exchange for supplies. 8-hour workweek, 5 days on, 2 days off. Guwen was shocked and pale upon hearing this. This statement should be true. This probably isn't some kind of trap. Trick the person first, then finish it clean. Duke became suspicious upon seeing the leader. He immediately refuted. Absolutely impossible. They behaved politely and politely. He didn't look like someone from the apocalypse at all. Moreover, with their strength, if you really want to be rough, even if we tie them together, we have no chance of winning. Guwen fell silent. Duke's words are reasonable if the opponent truly possesses overwhelming combat power. Whether or not his group trusted him really didn't matter. After clearing my thoughts, he made a decisive decision. Everyone assembled urgently. Recall all field search teams to relocate. As soon as the assembly order was issued, those curled up in shabby tents. People from the tin huts and straw huts all poked their heads out. When the 8-hour workweek is done on a 5-day schedule, with 2 days off, these words reach your ears. Everyone thought they were hallucinating. It's the end of the world, yet such immortal treatment is still possible. Even in a prosperous era, it wasn't this comfortable. Back then, it was 996 blessings, okay? Listening to the doubts below, Inspur consultants remained unmoved. I know all of this sounds like a dream. To you, it seems like a pipe dream. But it's all true. Duke saw it with his own eyes. They are truly regular troops. It is by no means a fragment of the Empire. They have order, firepower, and a surplus grain. And even the medicine we've always dreamed of. If you're willing to trust me, come with me. Duke followed closely behind. Next came the third and fourth ones, until 1,000 men accompanied him, even if it was just a sliver of hope. No one wants to let them go. 2 hours later, the survivor army arrived at the Blue Star outpost. When they saw the endless armored cluster and the mighty lion that obeys orders, each one was stunned like a wooden chicken, especially when seeing patients in the ranks. Fully armed medical personnel treated him on the spot, administered injections, and bandaged his wounds. Many people's eyes instantly welled up with tears. Afterwards, everyone was led to the resettlement area. What catches the eye are rows of neat prefab houses. Step inside. All facilities are fully equipped. Water heaters, color TVs, air conditioners, and air conditioners. There are even entertainment game consoles. Hurry up and slap me. Let me confirm this is not a dream. Guwen was the same. Touching these items that even dreams never dreamed of. He slapped himself hard. A wave of pain came through. Tears instantly welled up in her eyes. It's actually true. In the days that followed, survivors devoted themselves to labor to serve the military. This greatly alleviates the labor shortage at the base. Guwen and Duke were even recognized as local consultants. Assist the military in consolidating surrounding survivor forces. For those who are in difficult circumstances, it still upholds the bottom line of humanity. The military directly recruited and incorporated them, placed under shelter in the resettlement area. And for those whose humanity has long since vanished, he is a villain who is like a two-legged sheep, delicate and delicious. Wang Zhan had only one explosive response for such bases that desecrate humanity. Instantanément annihilation. Songja received the Iron Token. Instantly gather 2,000 elite troops, 200 land tank deployments, targeting those heartless camps. Carry out saturation, devastating strikes. The purge task has basically come to a pause. I sat upright in the Blue Star Command Hall. At that moment, an irresistible wave of drowsiness suddenly swept through his mind. A sense of alarm rose in his heart. This was the prelude to crossing the new territories. Forcing myself to hold up my heavy eyelids. Picked up the communicator. Help me solve it. Commander Wang, Zhan sought advice. The commander was starting to feel sleepy. The premonition was strong. The teleportation was about to be activated immediately. This time it might be a drama. The words did not fall. Wang Zhan's breathing suddenly quickened on the other end. What new world? You must hold on. Reinforcements immediately took position. This time, the domestic research community has been reporting frequent good news thanks to the tailwind of new materials. Carbon-based lithography machines have been produced. Prototype nuclear fusion has entered a new era of practical application. The entire country entered the fast lane of takeoff. And the hero of all this, it was all the young man before them. At this moment, he was once again in danger. How can the state stand idly by? This may be yet another tremendous opportunity for national fortune. In a moment, The Black Dragon Special Forces, Battle Dragon Special Forces, and Thunder Dragon Special Forces have assembled once again. Songja strode over with brisk strides. His gaze swept over his subordinates. Wolves immediately self-examined. More than 20 soldiers moved in perfect sync. The communication module is functioning normally. Ammunition base is fully loaded. The exoskeleton is carried normally. Self-inspection complete. The sleepiness I had endured finally burst through. The familiar light and shadow of the altar appeared once again. Swallow everyone whole. The beam of light dispersed. Wang Zhan looked at the empty area, his heart full of anxiety. Make sure you return safely. Another dimension of my consciousness gradually returned. Upon seeing a vast expanse of mountains and fields, looking far into the distance, several collapsed ruins of the bell tower can be vaguely seen. Songja, who had been waiting for a while, asked anxiously, "Shows how much time remains." I raised my wrist to glance over. 5 hours. Songja let out a long sigh of relief. This is similar to when he first entered the zombie world. The tone left for us. No rush, I nodded in agreement. Just as the words fell. Suddenly, a muffled gunshot rang out in the distance. Immediately after, a series of gunshots rang out repeatedly. Upon hearing this, everyone immediately went on alert. Songja made tactical gestures and growled in a low voice. Everyone activates infrared thermal imaging. Maintain defensive formations. Maintain defensive formations. Full speed forward. Full speed forward. After everyone crossed over a plain, instantly, they were shaken by the brutal battle before them. All they saw was the wasteland. A regular army squad was holding the defensive line to protect the villagers. They fought bloody battles against a horde of enormous insect beasts. Those strange insects were covered in thick shells. The fangs in its mouth were razor-sharp. Conventional caliber bullets hit the body. The force was repelled like a tickling itch. I snapped back to reality. Looks like we've fallen into the script of the Zerg cataclysm this time. Songja quickly estimated the swarm to be about 30 individuals. The source cannot be intersected for now. It was unclear whether it was an interstellar invasion or a native mutation. If it's an interstellar reorganization, it means being able to traverse the void and devour civilizations. This planet is probably beyond the reach of immortals. If there is a battle left behind on a planetary-level catastrophe, my expression was grave. Look at the individual gear over there. It was still stuck in the traditional gunpowder era, 50 years behind us. At this moment, the defending troops were struggling to hold on. It seems to sense our presence. A desperate cry for help was made. The sun is fast. Can you lend a hand? Brothers, you can't hold on anymore. My expression suddenly changed, and I exclaimed, damn. Huaxia language, they speak standard Chinese. The team members looked at each other in disbelief. Songja made a decisive decision. No matter where one resides, all are the first to save their compatriots. The Black Dragon Squad unleashed their firepower coverage. Stop! The Black Dragon Squad quickly set up heavy weapons. He poured his fury on the core area of the swarm. High explosive shells bombed inside the monster pile. A massive insect beast. In the face of absolute firepower, it was instantly torn apart. Just a single volley. The once arrogant and overbearing swarm was shattered by the light. Cough, cough, cough. The rescued soldiers quickly prepared to step forward and enter. Though the voice was tired, it still resonated with resonance. Lu Tian, commander of the 38th Company of the Thunder Group Army. Thank you to all the heads of state for their kindness. May I ask for the unit number? Songja looked at the flesh on the other's face, and that indomitable gaze. Instinctively, he replied to a gentleman like that. Though it was a brief exchange, both sides can perceive it clearly. That is the essence and spirit ingrained in his bones. But when Lu Tian's gaze swept over our equipment, he saw that high-energy rifle with a strong sci-fi vibe, and the dazzling exoskeleton armor. His brows furrowed tightly. Our style is truly ahead of its time. Songja was already calculating in his mind. At this moment, it was basically certain. This place is undoubtedly Daxia. But he was just a parallel hero suffering a great disaster. How to reveal one's identity. And could never speak frankly. From another world. He was afraid he would be mistaken for a madman. Just as the stalemate was reaching, I will break through the crowd and emerge. He extended his right hand toward Lu Tian. Hello. We come from another world, China. Rain fell. Lu Tian's expression was full of excitement. From shock and stunned to extreme shock. You said, you come from another China. The remnants behind him rose up together, and now it was the beginning. Lu Tian stared intently into my eyes. This kind of joke can't be made. My gaze was clear, and I nodded firmly. Seeing this, Lu Tian sneered. Scold. Also, with just this equipment, we can't create it either. Immediately, he grabbed the walkie-talkie at his waist. Report the battalion commander to the abnormal situation at the front line. It was not that the position had fallen. Our side encountered a friendly force claiming to be from another world. Their individual firepower and equipment completely outnumber our side. Fart your mother, daring to shake the morale of the troops again. Nonsense. I peeled off her skin. Listening to the roar from the other side, Lu Tian gave me an awkward look. The camp leader has a rather violent temper. He was a bit impatient. He then continued explaining into the microphone. Battalion commander, I guarantee with my head, absolutely true. After a long time, intelligence was once reported. Finally, the message reached the meeting room of the Supreme Command. Since ancient times, the 9 stars-linked beasts and strange phenomena arose. The insect swarm swept across the globe. The Western powers had long since collapsed. We too are at the end of our strength. This time, news from outside China arrived. If it truly happened, it was truly heaven's blessing. China's defense line was indeed in grave danger. If this is taken as the source, maybe it could counterattack the Zerg. I propose to immediately seek help from our fellow beings in the other world. I deliberately reported myself to the general at the very first opportunity. The frontline defense was in crisis. The swarm has broken through Zone 3. Wang Zhanlong was instantly shocked. However, the cross-border assistance plan was immediately approved. 10 heavy combined brigades were urgently transferred. Come with me back to that ravaged time and space. How could the otherworldly insect race be a match for the steel torrent? In just half a month, the light of the moon is gone. The insect nest was blasted to the ground. Even the so-called insect emperor raised the white flag to take effect. But he is not of our kind. His heart carries no sense of state, sweeping through the path and eliminating the roots. After half a year, the pest infestation was completely eradicated. In that parallel world, I am honored as a man of a nation. Return to the origin world. I depend on China, peerless in the world. Countless flowers and applause poured in. However, peace and stability did not last long. That intense drowsiness swept over him once again. I knew a new journey was about to begin.